midway is water, and then food. If you stop eating, within 30 to 40 days, you die. Right? If you stop drinking water, within 3 to 4 days, you die. If you stop breathing, within 5 minutes, you die. So, based on those type of calculations, they found the most potent source of energy coming into the body, and they look to control that first. And they start controlling everything else after that. Okay? So that's the fourth one. The fifth one is pratyahara, which is the withdrawal of the senses. Once you have regulated your breath, then you can move towards regulating the mind. Okay? So at that point, the pratyahara, you learn to withdraw the senses in order to do what? In order to gain control over your mental faculties. Because one of our main problems is that we have became, we are totally dependent on our sensory perception. And we're not really familiar with the mechanisms of the mental faculties or the mental power that's behind the sensory perception that creates the sensory perception. So we are taught to recognize the I am and the I within us, and disassociate ourselves with the sensory perception, because the sensory perception only gives us a small look at what's out there. And scientists have proven this, because scientists have realized by studying the electronic magnetic spectrum that there's many, many levels of spectrum. And when we look at a physical object, we only see one part of the spectrum, a little tiny part of the spectrum. But in the mental world, you can see multiple realms of the spectrum. And the yogis have been teaching this for thousands of years. They teach you how to withdraw the senses and recognize the I and the I am. The I being the soul, the I am being the spirit, which is connected to the absolute, which is the God, the universe, and beyond the universe, the invisible and the visible, and the unmanifested and the manifested. So that's what the pranayama does. The sixth one is concentration. Use English so you'll understand it better. Concentration is focusing the mind or channeling the mind down one single thought. That's one of the first stages of meditation. Okay, very few people can meditate. Meditation is something that very few people can meditate. Concentration, most people are doing some form of concentration. But concentration is taking the mind and focusing the mind down one single channel, taking one particular subject or object and just concentrating on that. And just that alone and nothing else. Do not let anything enter the mind. And by doing that, you begin to control the mind. And what you do, you lock into that particular object or subject, and you begin to extract information from it. Information that no one else seen or could have given to you. It's just like going on the internet, Googling something. So when you can concentrate, you can Google that particular object. You concentrate on it to a point where your concentration turn into what's called contemplation, which is the seventh limb. And this contemplation brings about psychic or clairvoyant vision, because then you begin to see the physical object, the astral object, the aura of the object, the etheric body of the object. You begin to see the energy flow of the object. You begin to see the atomic structure of the object. You begin to see all those things in contemplation, right? Contemplation, after doing contemplation for a long time, you move into the realm of meditation. And in meditation, you actually become one with the object that you've been concentrating and contemplating on. you begin to feel and connect yourself to that life stream, which that life stream could be a mind belt or an object. You become one with that, and you begin to experience the life force of that particular object or group or mental thought form. So at that point, you know everything there is to know about that particular object. Okay, that's true meditation. In meditation, to describe and meditation is the 8th limb. In meditation, to actually describe the physical part of that is that you have within the root chakra where this Shakti power that Sushumna have pulled down from the crown down to the base, you have this thing called kundalini. Kundalini, because why? It takes this Shakti power and it concentrates it into a life force. This life force, when it's concentrated in that form, in that particular area, is called kundalini, right? Because it goes into a dormant state. It's like a hub or a concentrated form of power. And then it only releases a small portion of itself, and that's what makes the nadis, right? This kundalini is the vehicle of consciousness that the soul uses in order to bring about life, in order to have us communicate with each other, in order to have us to go through a set of experiences. Okay? So in meditation, in concentration, and contemplation, you begin to tap into this life force. In meditation, you wake up this life force, and you move this life force from the base chakra to each level that you want to look through. Each level meaning each chakra level, right? When you do this, you bring about a conscious state of death. Because when the life force leaves the areas that it was before, the body dies. Anything below there dies. Anything below there dies. So when the so if you fully activate the power of kundalini in the base chakra, and you move it up to the sex chakra, everything below the base is dead. It's dead. When you move it to the solar plexus center, everything below is dead. You gradually place the body into a conscious state of death. But at the same time, the whole universe has woken up to you. You begin to, the secrets of anything you want to concentrate on or place your mind on, it reveals itself to you. Okay, so at that point, you become the self-teacher. You begin to know anything that you want to lay your hand on, you begin to know. You become one with that. So basically, that's the 8 limbs of yoga. It could be said now, they put here samadhi, but after going through meditation many times, you go into a samadhi stage. You don't go into a samadhi stage, in my opinion, right away. Samadhi, after going through meditation many times, then you all of a sudden one day go into this great, deep state of samadhi. So then after going through samadhi for a time, you'll go into cosmic consciousness. All right. But now, some of the teachings will say, well, there's many stages of samadhi. I think it confuses people, and it just it layers. It takes people in the wrong direction to not give the reverence that's needed to these teachings. So it's concentration, contemplation, meditation. Meditation turns into samadhi. Samadhi turns into a state of cosmic consciousness. Okay? So we were going to go into the practice. So somebody want to read it, and then you can practice it. The first exercise. This is from Raja Yoga. What is it called? What's the actual title of it?
A series of lessons in Raja Yoga.
A series of lessons in Raja Yoga. It's the 4th chapter if you want to go do it.
It's free online.
So place yourself in a comfortable position, and so far as possible, free from outside disturbing influences. Make no violent effort to control the mind, but rather allow it to run along for a while and exhaust its efforts. It will take advantage of the opportunity and will jump around like an unchained monkey at first, until it gradually slows down and looks to you for orders. It may take some time to tame down at first trial, but each time you try it, it will come around to you in shorter time. The yogis spend much time in acquiring this mental peace and calm, and consider themselves well paid for it. Part B, when the mind is well calmed down and peaceful, fix the thought on the I am, as taught in our previous lessons. Picture the I as an entity independent of the body, deathless, invulnerable, immortal, real. Then think of it as independent of the body and able to exist without its fleshly covering. Meditate upon this for a time, and then gradually direct the thought to the realization of the I as independent and superior to the mind, and controlling same. Go over the general ideas of the first 2 lessons, and endeavor to calmly reflect upon them and to see them in the mind's eye. You will find that your mind is gradually becoming more and more peaceful and calm, and that the distracting thoughts of the outside world are farther and farther removed from you. Part C. Then let the mind pass on to a calm consideration of the 3rd lesson, in which we have spoken of the oneness of all, and the relationship of the I to the one life, power, intelligence, being. You will find that you are acquiring a mental control and calm heretofore unknown to you. The exercise in the first 3 lessons will have prepared you for this. Part D. The following is the most difficult of the variations or degrees of this exercise, but the ability to perform it will come gradually. The exercise consists in gradually shutting out all thought or impressions of the outside world, of the body, and of the thoughts themselves, the student concentrating and meditating upon the word and idea I am, the idea being that he shall concentrate upon the idea of mere being or existence, symbolized by the words I am, not I am this, or I am that, or I do this, or I think that, but simply I am. This exercise will focus the attention at the very center of being within oneself, and will gather in all the mental energies instead of allowing them to be scattered upon things, upon outside things. A feeling of peace, strength, and power will result for the affirmation. And the thought back of it is the most powerful and strongest that one may make, for it is a statement of actual being and a turning of the thought inward to that truth. That the mind first dwell upon the word I, identifying it with the self, and then let it pass on to the word am, which signifies reality and being. Then combine the 2 with the meanings thereof, and the result a most powerful focusing of thought inward and most potent statement of being. It is well to accompany the above exercises with a comfortable and easy physical attitude, so as to prevent the distraction of the attention by the body. In order to do this, one should assume an easy attitude and then relax every muscle and take the tension from every nerve until a perfect sense of ease, comfort, and relaxation is obtained. You should practice until you have fully acquired it. It will be useful to you in many ways. Besides rendering concentration and meditation easier, it will act as a rest cure for tired body, nerves, and mind.
Okay. Did everybody get that? So what he's saying here in his previous chapters, he went into what his teacher taught him, that the I am is the spirit, is the real you. The I is the soul, which was manifested by the spirit. But it is the soul that we operate through on this physical plane. Okay? And because the I am, is unmanifested. It's connected to the all. It's a part of God. So when you begin to do the this practice where you withdraw the senses, you focus on the I, which is you. Similar practices he gave in the beginning, which I taught you guys some time ago, is another. If this seemed too difficult, go into the one where you focus on yourself by repeating your name, like you chant your own name, until you realize that that's not you. But that's the simple exercises like this wakes your consciousness up to a certain degree to realize that you are not the body. This body is not you. This body is only a tool for you. It's the sensory perception, your mental body that you are perceiving this world is not you. It's only an instrument. It's only an assemble of energies being used by you. The real you is spirit and soul. It has its physical body, the astral body, the etheric body. They all layer up to make this. Is not you. It's only an aspect of you being used as a tool. Yeah.
Let me ask you, because I've been trying to focus on that in meditation, right? The I and the I am.
Mm-hmm.
But you're using the mind to come up with these concepts.
You think you are.
That's my problem, that I can't discern between when I'm using the mind and when I'm not.
The real you, the motivating will behind you doing anything what you do is the soul. It's the spirit and the soul. And the mind is only used for an instrument to actually translate this information on this realm of existence. And the body and the vocal cords within the body is used as a communication point outside of yourself, so-called outside of yourself. See, but all of this is not you. It's just like I said last week. I was telling you about. You get in a car and you drive the car. Is that you? Is it you? Is the car you?
It's an extension of you.
The car is an extension of you, but it's not you.
No, it's a tool.
Right. You only borrowed that car for a minute to move from point A to point B. Well, that's what you're doing with your physical body, your astral body, and your mental body. You're only using that to move from point A to point B, which happens to be this lifetime. When you die, you will discard this physical body, and you will discard the astral body, which is the counterpart of it, and you will reshape your mental body in order to incorporate all the lessons that you learned. And you will move forward with your auric body and take on another astral form in the astral realms or the etheric realms. Whether you be in the lower hells, so-called, or the lower heavens or the higher heavens. It all depends on what you did in this life and previous lives. And from then you'll live there for a time. You'll die from there, and you'll be reborn here in order to go through more and more lessons. you gain greater scribe here because of the limitations that will be placed on you here. So make use of the physical world. The physical world is a place where you can move up the ladder rapidly. The astral world, you know, the limitations will not be on you as much.
So I shouldn't try to like rid myself of the mind. I should try to use the mind and the concepts that I use in the mind to try to get closer to the soul.
Because you got to purify the mind first.
Yeah. The mind is only a tool of yours. You know, what makes up the mind? Well, first of all, mind energy. You know, there's two types of mind. There's really three, but let's look at it on two. You have a universal mind, which is a mind energy, right? Then you have the so-called mind that's formulated that's holding the material, the matter together to create this thing you call the mental body, the astral body, the physical body, the etheric body. Because mind is a thing that holds matter together. Okay? So you have taken a part of this mind, you the soul, have configured, have trapped this mind and this prana into an auric envelope in order to configure this thing you call the mind that you're using right now. Right? You the soul have did that. The soul is above mind. The soul is above consciousness. The soul does not need consciousness, right? It does not need mind energy or prana because the soul is above that. It is the architect of these things, okay? The spirit is the architect of these things. So it is not it's not you. It's only a tool that you use. Okay? It's only a tool that you use. So understand that. Be aware of that. You know, if you think that you are body or astral body or etheric body or mind, then you'll be limited. You won't be able to move beyond it. But these things was created or formulated by the soul. The soul pulled these things into manifestation. Okay? The spirit created them. And the soul took it and molded and shaped it into a useful tool. And that's how you have to look at it. You know? Now, our biggest problem is that over time, over many lifetimes, mankind here, at least for the last 18,600,000 years, he have distorted the mind belt of this earth. He have totally distorted the mind belt of this earth. You know, through all his wars, through all his negative thinking, he have created this warp or distortion in the mind belt of this earth, and that's our greatest problem, or dilemma, with us. That we have been bound by our own thoughts and actions over time. And the only reason why we have a body like this, the only reason why our physical realm is in the state in which it is, meaning that the frequency of mind or consciousness that is in, is because we created that distortion. And until we learn to clear up that distortion, then we will be bound in the way that we are. As man progresses, everything that he builds becomes finer. You know, everything that all his tools become finer. If you look at a car phone or a cell phone 50 years ago, it was this huge big thing, right? Now it's just a little tiny, device, that you can lift and feel practically no weight, right? But 20 years ago, or 30 years ago, it was this big bulky thing, So why? Because as his consciousness grows and understanding, he learns to use the finer and finer material, with him. Now, what our problem has been in the past, we grew and then we destroyed everything. In the ancient teachings, in the Vedas or the Vedas, it tells us that we had this great civilization, and the Theosophical Society called it the Lemurian civilization. We built this civilization up, had all type of technology and everything, and we blew the planet up. We just destroyed everything. The Earth spent on its axis. Everything was destroyed, and we went into this almost caveman type civilization, and then we built the civilization up again, and it was called Atlantis, and we destroyed that with atomic warfare. And it's all written down in the ancient books. It's there. In fact, they describe the weapons that was used. We had jets, we had flying crabs, we had atomic rays, we had atomic bombs, and we destroyed it. We destroyed Atlantis. And each time we did that, we intensified the distortion around the earth to the point where we're separated from our higher self, from our higher faculties. Now, many years after that, hundreds of thousands of years after that, the yogis of the earth that still had the great teachings, they began to distribute those teachings out to the world, and they began to refine them and began to teach us how to get around this distortion, how to kill out the distortion within us, right? And they did this through the systems of yoga. They gave us hatha yoga. They gave us bhatha yoga. They gave us karma yoga. They gave us all these different yogas in order to teach us to kill out the distortion. One of the ways to kill out the distortion is Raja Yoga, which teaches us to refrain from certain wrong thought and actions, and to have a more sense about ourselves, and to begin to regulate all movement, and all thought, so this is the whole first 4 limbs of yoga is about purifying the body and mind and auric structure, so that you can begin to push the notic flow of mind and vital energy through the body easier, because hate, anger, jealousy, all these things are blockage in the notic pathways. And the notic pathways is the mental pathways of your existence, of your auric structure. The only way you think is those pathways move from one end of the body to the next in order to allow you to think and communicate with anyone. That's how it works. In fact, the physical image of the nadis, or the physical counterparts of the nadis, is the veins, arteries, and nervous system and respiratory system. That is they are the physical counterparts to the nadis. But it's not you. It's not you. If you were to sever your spine, or almost sever your spine, then you have created a severe blockage, right? That's what happens. So then what happens? You can't walk, right? You won't be able to walk. You won't be able to use certain limbs. So on a finer level, the blockages that we have within the nadis now is those virities that I just talked about. You know, which is anger, jealousy, malice, you know, all those bad traits. They create blockages within the auric nodic pathways, and that's what you have to clear out. And that's the purification that needs to happen. Now, then it will be easy for you to understand the conscious mind will be able to receive the information from the superconscious mind. The superconscious mind will be able to receive a greater information and move that information to the sub or conscious mind from the soul. When it's given its directives, it'll be able to move that information down quickly. In fact, at one point, the subconscious mind and conscious mind will be absorbed back into the superconscious mind, and the superconscious mind will be in direct communication with the soul. See? And at one point, it would be, and as you move on through evolution, there will be no need for the soul to even have a superconscious mind. See, so it is these layers that we actually have to tear away in order to reach our higher self and to communicate with the soul and the spirit. The soul and the spirit is above consciousness. You have to get that in your mind. Consciousness is just a tool. The physical body is just a tool. The astral body is a tool. You know, most people think the physical body, when they say I'm hungry, it's not you hungry. It's the physical body that's hungry. You know, when the physical body becomes thirsty, it's not you that's thirsty, it's the physical body that's thirsty. And there's many exercises. I tell you, there's you have the book Science of Breath, right? Science of Breath by Yogi Brahmacharaka.
No, but I think that one was online, though, right? It
was online. In fact, you can just Google it and it'll come right down, because it's out there so much now. So Google that book by Yogi Brahmacharaka, Science of Breath, and I think in there's a practice called look it up. It's a practice called I think it's called psychic breathing. Is it psychic breathing? Anyway, it's a simple practice, but if you do it for a while, you do it several times. At least when I did it as a child, I was amazed how quick I stepped right out of the body. What's it called? I think it's called psychic breathing. It's at the back. It's at the end of the. I think it's at the end of the book. Go back. Look and see if that's the grand. Go. You just back.
Grand Yogi Psychic Breath?
I think that might be it. This is a good one too, the brain stimulating practice. Is that it? I think this is the one that teaches you to. It doesn't tell you, but when you practice it, I think this is the one. You'll step outside of the body. I think that's it. I'm not sure.
Next time. sweeping the crown of prana to and fro from head to feet several times. Finish with cleansing breath.
And there's several exercises now. When you do it, you'll find yourself, you'll have an out of body experience. You know, you actually step outside of the body and be able to see the body. You know, so it's just like, I don't know, some of you all feel it in prayer. But sometimes you get so much into the prayer that you outside of the body and the body's praying. You know, and you'll begin to have those type of experiences, and then you'll know that this is just a tool. It's not me. It's not me. And then even after a while, when you go and begin to have an out-of-body experience, you'll be able to even project from the astral body. The body in which you project from, you can do another projection. You know, it's not you. You know, you are spirit and soul. You're far beyond these tools, these bodies, these vehicles. They're only vehicles of expression. So it's not you. The body is not you. The mind is not you. It's only a tool that you, the real you, uses to express itself. And you're here because of your karmic positioning. Because the laws of karma have placed you here. You know, it's just like the laws of karma of a rock keeps a rock on the ground because of gravity. But a feather gets to move through the air because of the laws of karma. You know, man have to walk on two legs, but a bird gets to soar, you know, through the sky because of karma. You know, that's the only reason why you're in this physical body. It's the karmic lessons that we have to learn. Okay? So, I mean, really, if I was you, I would get this book and really study this book. These particular students, they particularly wrote down everything that their master was telling them. They put it in a real good book. In fact, it's 3 books. It's the 14 lessons, the advanced course, and the series of Raja Yoga. He wrote a lot of books, but those 3 books gives you a lot on personal development and understanding your position in the world or in the galaxy. So, but if I was you, I'd get it. It's an easy read too. You see how easy this reads? It's an easy read. They rarely use Sanskrit terminology because the 2 disciples of Yogi Ramacharaka, they had a disciple called William Walker Atkinson, and he translated for them, and he was a lawyer. He was a lawyer who turned to metaphysics and became a yogi. Gave up his practice and everything. Became a yogi, and he translated. And they did these books in the late 1800s, early 1900s, and they're still selling like hotcakes today. So it's a real good series of lessons.
Are we going to exercise too?
Hmm?
Are we going to exercise too?
So everybody gets that, or we need to read it again, that exercise.
The first exercise?
Huh?
We got the first exercise.
Okay, go to the exercise 2. You gonna read it?
The second step in Raja Yoga is what is known as dharana, or concentration. Dharana. This is a most wonderful idea in the direction of focusing the mental forces, and may be cultivated to an almost incredible degree, but all this requires work, time, and patience. But the student will be well repaid for it. Concentration consists in the mind focusing upon a certain subject or object and being held there for a time. This, at first thought, seems very easy, but a little practice will show how difficult it is to firmly fix the attention and hold it there. It will have a tendency to waver and move to some other object or subject, and much practice will be needed in order to hold it at the desired point. But practice will accomplish wonders, as one may see by observing people who have acquired this faculty. and who use it in their everyday life. But the following point should be remembered. Many persons have acquired the faculty of concentrating their attention, but have allowed it to become almost involuntary, and they become a slave to it, forgetting themselves and everything else, and often neglecting necessary affairs. This is the ignorant way of concentrating, and those addicted to it become slaves to their habits, instead of masters of their minds. They become daydreamers and absent-minded people, instead of masters. They are to be pitied as much as those who cannot concentrate at all. The secret is in a mastery of the mind. The yogis can concentrate at will, and completely bury themselves in the subject before them, and extract from it every item of interest, and can then pass the mind from the thing at will, the same control being used in both cases. They do not allow fits of abstraction or absent-mindedness to come upon them, nor are they daydreamers. On the contrary, they are very wide-awake individuals, close observers, clear thinkers, correct reasoners. They are masters of their minds, not slaves to their moods. The ignorant concentrator buries himself in the object or subject and allows it to master and absorb himself, while the trained yogi thinker asserts the I and then directs his mind to concentrate upon the subject or object, keeping it well under control and in view all the time. Do you see the difference? Then heed the lesson. The following exercises may be found useful in the first steps of concentration. Concentrate the attention upon some familiar object, a pencil, for instance. Hold the mind there and consider the pencil to the exclusion of any other object. Consider its size, color, shape, kind of wood. Consider its uses and purposes, its materials, the process of its manufacture, etc., etc., etc. In short, think as many things about the pencil as possible, allowing the mind to pursue any associated bypaths, such as the consideration of the graphite of which the lead is made, the forest from which came the wood used in making the pencil, the history of pencils, and other implements used for writing, etc. In short, exhaust the subject of pencils. In considering the subject under concentration, the following plan of synopsis will be found useful. Think of the thing in question from the following viewpoints. 1. The thing itself. 2. The place from whence it came. 3. Its purpose or use. 4. Its associations. 5. Its probable end. Do not let the apparently trivial nature of the inquiry discourage you, for the simplest form of mental training is useful and will help to develop your will and concentration. It is akin to the process of developing a physical muscle by some simple exercise, and in both cases, one loses sight of the unimportance of the exercise itself in view of the end to be gained. B. Concentrate the attention upon some part of the body, the hand for instance, and fixing your entire attention upon it. Shut off or inhibit all sensation from the other parts of the body. A little practice will enable you to do this. In addition to the mental training, this exercise will stimulate the part of the body concentrated upon, for reasons that will appear in future lessons. Change the parts of the body concentrated upon, and thus give the mind a variety of exercises and the body the effect of a general stimulation. C. These exercises may be extended indefinitely upon familiar objects about you. Remember always that the thing in itself is of no importance. The whole idea being to train the mind to obey the will, so that when you really wish to use the mental forces upon some important object, you may find them well trained and obedient. Do not be tempted to slight this part of the work because it is dry and uninteresting, for it leads up to things that are most interesting and opens a door to a fascinating subject. D. Practice focusing the attention upon some abstract subject, that is, upon some subject of interest that may offer a field for mental exploration. Think about the subject in all its phases and branches, following up one by path, and then another, until you feel that you know all about the subject that your mind has acquired. You will be surprised to find how much more you know about any one thing or subject than you have believed possible. In hidden corners of your mind, you will find some useful or interesting information about the thing in question, and when you are through, you will feel well posted upon it, and upon the things connected with it. This exercise will not only help to develop your intellectual powers, but will strengthen your memory and broaden your mind and give you more confidence in yourself. And, in addition, you have taken a value exercise in concentration or dharana. That word. The importance of concentration. Concentration is a focusing of the mind, and this focusing of the mind requires a focusing or bringing to a center of the will. The mind is concentrated because the will is focused upon the subject. The mind flows into the mold made by the will. The above exercises are designed not only to accustom the mind to the obedience and direction of the will, but also tend to accustom the will to command. We speak of strengthening the will, when what we really mean is training the mind to obey and accustoming the will to command. Our will is strong enough, but we do not realize it. The will takes root in the very center of our being, in the I, but our imperfectly developed mind does not recognize this tact. We are like young elephants that do not recognize their own strength, but allow themselves to be mastered by puny drives, whom they could brush aside with a movement. The will is back of all action, all doing, mental and physical. We shall have much to say touching the will. In these lessons, and the student should give the matter his careful attention. Let him look around him, and he will see that the great difference between the men who have stepped forward from the ranks and those who remain huddled up in the crowd consists of determination and will. As Buxton has well said, the longer I live, the more certain I am that the great difference between men, the feeble and the powerful, the great and the insignificant, is energy and inconceivable determination. And you might have added that the thing behind that energy and inconceivable determination was will. The writers and thinkers of all ages have recognized the wonderful and transcendent importance of the will. Tennyson sings, O living will, thou shalt endure when all that seems shall suffer shock. Oliver Wendell Holmes says, the seat of the will seems to vary with the organ through which it is manifested, to transport itself to different parts of the brain, as we may wish to recall a picture, a phrase, a melody, to throw its force on the muscles or the intellectual processes. Like the general-in-chief, its place is everywhere in the field of action. It is the least like an instrument of any of our faculties, the farthest removed from our conceptions or mechanism and matter, as we commonly defy them. Holmes was correct in his idea, but faulty in his details. The will does not change its seat, which is always in the center of the ego, but the will forces the mind to all parts and in all directions, and it directs the prana or vital force likewise. The will is indeed the general-in-chief, but it does not rush to the various points of action, but sends its messengers and couriers there to carry out its orders. Buxton has said, the will do anything that can't be done in this world, and no talents, no circumstances, no opportunities will make a two-legged creature a man without it. Ich Marvell truly says, resolve is what makes a man manifest, not puny resolve, but not crude determinations, not errant purpose, but that strong and too many syllables. Indefatigable? Yeah, will, which treads down difficulties and dangers. As a boy treads down the heaving frost, lands of winter, which kindles his eye and brain with a proud pulse, beat toward the unattainable, will makes men giants. Should I keep going?
That's good. Okay, everybody gets that?
Huh?
I say everybody gets that one. Any questions on that? There's not exercise.
There's a mantra, right,
Yeah,
at the end?
yeah, but that's
That's only
Also, 2 exercises?
Yeah, it's only 2 edges.
So this is what you kind of been teaching us with predetermine your action. That's what
Yeah.
you're telling us.
Yeah.
That the soul determines what I want to accomplish, and the mind follows through in making it happen.
Right. Well, really, I tell you, it's like this, which we have went over maybe 1,000 times in class. Right?
Yeah.
I know it's hard for people to get this.
Should I put this up?
Huh?
Should I put this up?
If you want to, because we're going to use it in the meeting, though. You put it up. Spirit is I am. Right? Soul is the I. Now, it's hard for us to fathom this because these 2 words are just thrown around so much. In the Hindu teachings, they give it well, but even there they have Orthodox people who mix that up too. But when you go back to the core teachings, it's very clear. They say Shiva and Shakti. But here, using the English terminology, spirit is the I am, which is actually unmanifested. Okay? And the soul is manifested. See? Now, the soul is the thing that moves forward. Because why? It moves forward on the will of the spirit. Okay? That's what the soul does. And the soul takes the directive from the spirit and it begins to manifest itself in order to do what?
Gain experience.
In order to what?
To evolve and gain experience.
In order to evolve and gain, not necessarily. Yeah,
To evolve.
Involve, not evolve. Because why? The directive from the spirit tells it to involve itself, but it can't gain experience because why? It has all experience because why? It's connected to the what?
Absolute.
The absolute, the spirit, which is the all in all. But the spirit gives it and say, okay, evolve yourself. So what the soul does, the soul takes a part of itself and begins to involve it. And the only way it does that, it masses, it creates this what I call an auric of substance. What we know as the auric body, it creates this auric of substance and it pushes this Shakti power which exists everywhere into this and begins to formulate some type of consciousness, right? And from there, it begins to go through all the stages that I mentioned earlier, see? Because another thing that people get wrong, they get it wrong all the time. The only thing I do is go back and look at it when you study these teachings. And I used to wonder why, but I guess people don't pay attention. The chakra, right? The chakra actually represents, it's the chakra, of course, it's a vortex, right? Everybody know this, right? Did I do it right? Not a spell.
B-O-R-T.
What?
T-E-X.
It's a vortex of what?
power
Energy.
Power,
and energy.
right? So we know that, but it's also according to the ancient teachings a realm
And a center
of
of
consciousness.
a point of consciousness.
Yeah. So if you look at, and then it makes sense when you begin to, when you compare these teachings to things that the scientists have discovered. When you take a chakra and you take all the colors that make up the chakra, right, and you put it next to the electronic spectrum, the electromagnetic spectrum, what do you see?
The same color.
You see the
order.
same colors.
It's like the rainbow.
It's the same colors. Because why? The yogis realize this, and then when you begin to study it, they constantly talk about what? They talk about the tava or tavic rays, right? And these rays help make up the realms of existence. The same way the scientists talk about the electronic magnetic spectrum, the rays that come from the sun that help make up the realms of this earth, or the layers of this earth, the layers of the atmosphere. It's the same thing. They just use a different terminology to describe it. So these yogis were great scientists. They were great scientists. The difference that they were mystic scientists. They were able to tap into the realms, or all the realms of the earth. So that's what this whole, when you study it, you begin to realize, yeah, we have spirit, we have soul. Soul is manifested, something that we can actually touch. It created this point of consciousness, or this auric substance, and it poured this Shakti power, and it locked into it all the different tavic rays, which total 360 tavic rays into all the major chakras, and it flooded this with all this energy, and then it created this matrix that was able to hold consciousness, right? And then from there, it created the nadis and all this stuff, and you begin to realize how you're connected to the all. You're connected to the all through the chakras, physically, through the tavic rays and the vortex center, and the mind belt is connected to all of that. Because when you study the Mahabhutas, when you study the tavic rays and the pranas, the 5 major pranas, you realize that you're connected to the sun. The sun is connected to the solar logos. The solar logos is connected to the galaxy, the central sun. All these things are connected, right? So, and that's how you pull on your energy in order to stay manifested on one of the realms, okay? So it's just that simple. It's not hard. This is not complex. It's not complex at all. So it's the I am, the I, and from there they created this envelope or point of consciousness that utilizes this Shakti power and mind or chitta, in order to build a realm of consciousness, which is not only a realm, it's realms of consciousness that you, the soul, can tap into on your journey through evolution and evolution. And that's what really happens. And all the teachings, any book you read, any real book you read, or anybody you study on it, that's all what they're going to teach you. And I call it the Constitution of Man. That's all they're going to teach you. And everything else is about how do I get there? How do I evolve? Techniques in order to master this. Is there any other question? Did I answer your question, Dwayne?
Mm-hmm.
When thinking about the soul, or concentrating, contemplating, meditating upon the soul, it's probably like I'm creating limitation for it. But what should we visualize it as? Like, is the soul the sun, because it's the one that pushed the energies and created us.
You don't even have to give it an image. You let it give you an image.
That's what I've been saying. It's like I get stuck on it. I'm like,
It's not all physical.
My mind is getting these concepts, you know.
You are who you are, right? So your mind is the one who's creating the thoughts in your head.
No, but like say like I'm meditating, right, on the soul, and then like you get.
Why are you meditating on the soul?
I'm trying to meditate.
You are the soul.
I know.
So
No, you don't.
you wanna bring about detachment. Detach yourself from the body. Detach yourself from the mind. Don't blink the mind. Never blink the mind. But realize that these are tools. You know, what type of profession you in?
Right now, I'm working retail.
You work in retail. So in retail, you have to use what?
No, I work like in the back. I don't like.
You work in the back?
Yeah.
I mean, what you do in the back?
Physical work.
Storage stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, well, you use stuff to help you store stuff, right?
Yeah.
What's your tools are?
Yeah. Box cutter, tape, all that kind of stuff.
That's how you gotta look at it. That's how you gotta look at the body.
The mind, specific.
Huh? Yeah, the body and the mind. It's tools that the soul use in order to move through life. Same way you use that box cutter, a truck, you know, the hand truck, the dolly. Same way you use all that stuff. You know, do you have a weight belt too? Okay, well, I'm saying, you know, all of those are tools in order to get you through the day. So those are, those are tools. In this life, you have a series of tools such as your mind, you know, and your body, your astral body, in order to get you through the day.
But what the Buddhist is saying, kind of like there's this constant back and forth between like when you're trying to rid yourself of all those thoughts and just let the soul tell you what it's thinking, and then the mind comes in and it's kind of like this like.
Well, the soul, you are the soul. You are the soul. It's in other words, when you look at this bottle of water, the problem is that you let your mind define it. Although you ever look at something and you say, oh my God, that's beautiful, right? But then when you apply your mind to it, your mind said, that's a piece of mess. You know? But at first glance, it was beautiful. And then when you allow your mind to use all the chatter, you know, that's there, you begin to define it in an ugly way. And you don't see the beauty of it anymore. Right?
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying.
Okay, well, that's your mind, and your mind is separate from you, the soul. Because the soul, at first glance, seen the beauty of it and knew the wonder and the power of it. But your intellectual mind, which is distorted from eons of distortion, from life after life after life after life after life, that have held you back, wants to keep you down because it enjoys being the mind or the basic part of you enjoy being the boss. It believes that it is the ruler of you. So it enjoys that. So it infiltrates and blocks the real you from seeing the beauty of things. And you have to say no more. You have to say, no, it's not, you know, I'm going to see this for what it is. I'm going to study this coldly without emotions. I'm going to look at all the benefits of it. You know? Yeah.
So in our initial practice, you know, in the beginning, so would you recommend, like, you know, Josh, you're trying to focus on, you know, what is the soul, but like not even to focus on that, just focus on the practice, learn to clear the mind, control the mind, and with time we'll be able to just, you know, like you said, the soul will reveal itself to you.
Yeah, not only that, but the soul is you. You are the soul. It is above reproach. Like I said, get this particular book on Raja Yoga and read it. Also read the first 3 or 4 chapters of 14 Lessons. It gives a simple version of, it won't be as detailed as I gave it, but a simple version of the Constitution of Man. You know, but realize that the spirit and the soul is the only real you. Even the soul is manifested. The real thing that is spirit. Because at one point the soul will be absorbed back into the spirit. And there will only be spirit. See, but the soul has to purify itself and position itself in order to be able to enter back into the spirit. Throughout your journey in evolution, the soul will be bathed by the light of the spirit. On and on. That's what meditation is. Meditation is when the soul is truly bathed by the light of the spirit. That's why you have to go into a conscious state of depth in order to allow that to happen, in order to position yourself to be bathed by the extreme powers and energy and all knowledge space of the spirit. You have to place the body, which is the Lord manifestation of you, or the bodies, into a state of depth. And that's why that's why it's like that. But the soul is the real you for now. You know, and the spirit is the reality of you. It's the true reality. You know, so but it's not a part of your mind. Your mind is something totally different. I mean, when you have a craving to go do something wrong, you think that's you? Huh?
No, I mean I can get past the body and get stuck in the mind kind of.
But even the mind, because even the mind have cravings now. Because the mind is the thing that shapes and molds the body. So, you know, you ever notice you have cravings to go do something, and then there's a voice back in the back telling you not to do it? That's probably the soul speaking through the superconscious mind, giving you inspiration of why you shouldn't do that. See? So that's, you know, that's the difference. That's how you know that this is not really you. It's the mind and the body that crave certain activities and certain energy to always keep you down. And because why? It wants to live. It wants to survive. Because it's been doing this for how long? For a long, long time. At least we know at least 18 million years on this earth alone. So it craves, you know, certain things. And you live a life, especially when you get an obsession of doing something. You get this obsession. Sometimes it takes 3, 4, 5 lives to get rid of that obsession. Unfortunately, it does. People come back and they obsess with certain things, and they have to live probably at least 5 lives before they move on, before they realize it's no good. You know, they have to leave that alone. So that's where detachment comes from. I mean, karma yoga, the yoga of action, teaches you to detach. Detach. If you detach from everything, right, and you just do for the will of doing good, then you begin to see a different side of things. You begin to experience life in a total different way. Because why? That whole possession, this is mine, this is me, is not there anymore. The greed fall, the jealousy fall, the passion that's behind the greed, the jealousy, the envy, all those things fall away. Because why? Because you refuse to possess detach yourself from it. And that's the true lesson of Kama Yoga. Detach. You know, and you'll find you, the thing that will be standing there will be you, the real you. The giver of all life. You know, it's not, you know, this it's our basic selves and the physical body and astral body, all those things are the things that keep us down. The things that hold and anchor us into this frame of mind that have us to keep being reincarnated over and over and not develop ourselves into, you know, into a Jesus or a Buddha or Laose or Sri Krishna. You know, we can't move in that direction because we have allowed ourselves to be anchored down by our basic emotions. So we have to move beyond that. We have to realize that it's not you. The mind is not you. The body is not you. All those crazy desires is not you. You know, so read, you know, study and read those things on the soul and the spirit. You know, I said the first couple chapters of 14 lessons, and the first 3 chapters or 4 chapters of Raja Yoga. You'll see what I'm talking about. All right. When you got a good foundation of that, then you can read my book called the Ancient Language of the Soul, because I go deep into it, you know, and talking about mantra and the whole constitution of man. But as you know, do that, and then when your concentration contemplative exercises, it'll be easier because you'll know that it's not you. The mind is not you. You are behind the mind. The soul is behind the mind. It's not the soul asking you to do all the crazy things. You know, it's always that the soul, or the higher consciousness is always that thing that's whispering to you, telling you the right direction to go. But it's up to us to listen and to put the energy behind it in order to do what the higher self tells us to do. So any other questions?
It's like when you mentioned this before. So when you say you're going to do something, you're actually that you're actually committing the soul to it in a sense. That I will do this or I will do that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Remember, your voice and all your mental power is a manifestation of the kundalini power. And kundalini is a vehicle of consciousness for the soul. Okay? You read a book called Serpent Power, he clearly states that in his book, that the kundalini is the vehicle of consciousness for the soul. So when you voice something, the only reason why you're able to voice something, that's a manifestation of kundalini. So be very careful about what you say and how you voice something. You know, so that's, you know, is in fact, when you speak, you give away power. You know, you give away power when you speak. So be very careful about what you say and how you do it. And with anything you start, you have to complete. And when you don't, there's a great disruption of power when you don't. So be very, very careful of that. You know. So you always must try to complete whatever you start. You know. So that's why I say be very careful in the sense that if you say I'm going to do this, then you have started. It's like shooting a gun, saying, okay, race has begun. So do all your planning, you know, stay in a planning mood until you're ready to say go. All right, because once you make a decision, once you avoid something, you do it. I don't know if you noticed in the old countries, when they want to do something, especially back in the old days, they voice it to the world. Although the room is empty,
they proclaim it.
They proclaim it, and the life of that thing begins, because we live in groups of consciousness. Okay, we live in groups of consciousness, if you can understand it. You know, so that's, you know, things begin once you bring it to that fourth aspect of manifestation, because the voice is the fourth aspect of manifestation. You know, so once you bring it to that level, it's alive.
But what if you say you're gonna do something, but it's not like meant for you to do, or it's not the thing you should be doing, and that you
eat the karma?
should have expected that.
Deal with the karma of that, okay? There's a repercussion that's coming, and it's going to hit you.
What was like, I'm going to marry this person, and that's the wrong person for you to be messing with, and you can't take it back and say, you know, I made a mistake.
You have to deal with that in some type of way. You have to bring it to an end. You have to bring it to an end in some type of way. You have to formulate an end.
Yeah, that's also a mental training,
Yeah.
so that your mind accustomed to where you put your will, it will finish it. Or
Because your will is the will of God.
But if you keep breaking it, then your mind gets accustomed to breaking it.
Not only that, see, everything works in a framework of karma. Karma is the law of God. Karma controls all action. It creates the negative and positive pressures of everything. It is action itself. So it is the framework. It's the divine laws of God. So when you every thought and action you make, you enact karma, and karma have to respond. In other words, Jesus said, "As you sow, so shall you reap." So in your thought and actions, you're sowing, right? Buddha said action and reaction is opposite, but it's always equal. In other words, for every action, there's a reaction. It might be opposite, but it's equal under the law. You know, so you build up this pressure against yourself. You know, and that's why Dr. King said, you know, he said, predetermine your actions. You know, predetermine all your actions. You know, in fact, he said, enlightenment. An enlightened man always predetermines his actions. He does not work out of the framework of that. He predetermined all his actions. You know, so he said, be enlightened. You know, because when you go and you start, you know, just going off and off, just doing whatever, then what happens? You know, you have chaos. You know, you didn't predetermine anything. You know, so when you say I'm going to do something, then be sure that that's what you want to do, because your will is the will of God. It's an aspect of God. So you have to be very careful about what you claim that you're going to do. Okay? Any other questions?
I have like a comment. Have you ever heard of Immanuel Kant, philosopher?
Emmanuel what?
Kant, K-A-N-T.
Not
He developed a system of ethics which was like against consequentialism, which is like you're based on your actions. He was based on like your intention. And he always said that the only good thing in the universe was the goodwill. And it sounds like he's taking a lot of this from these teachers, you know what I mean?
Yeah. most so-called philosophers, they took a lot of this information from either the Vedas or the Upanishads or whatever. I mean, even if you look back, because I think Hinduism is probably the oldest religion on earth. And before that, I don't know what it was called. But this teaching, even these teachings go even beyond Hinduism, you know. But you had Sufism, you had Buddhism, you had Judaism. All that stuff came from these teachings. I think the Vedas is supposed to be 90,000 some years old. You know, Zoroastrianism goes back 6,000 years. You know, and that's one of the most popular, or the oldest popular, prophet other than the Lord Babaji, who goes back millions of years or billions of years. but yeah, I mean, all those teachings develop from those, because when you look at it, it all falls back. If you look at the the Kabbalah, the Jewish Kabbalah, is just the Hindu teachings, spoken a different tongue. It all falls back to mysticism, goes back to the body and some type of energy source in the body. When you look at the Catholic Church, the Rosary, they say it's 100 beads, right? But when you go back to the Hindu and the Buddhist Mala, it's 108 beads. Both of them have 108 beads, and they're prayer beads, So the Hindu, they chant mantra with it, and they relate it back to the chakras. And the Catholic Church, they use it as a rosary to do your prayers. I mean, they took it from the Hindus. The Hindus were there first. So all of them, they taking even the stories in the Bible. The same stories you find in the Bible, you can find in the Hindu, and the Buddhist Bible. And even in the Quran. Of course, the Quran is just a different version of Judaism and Christianity. And Christianity is just a different version of Judaism. Because Christianity came from the Jews, and the Quran actually came from the Jews and the Christians. Because if you go and read their Bible, they have the same people in them. The Quran had Abraham, the Jews had Abraham, and the Christians had Abraham. So it's the same thing. The Quran have Jesus in there, and the Bible have Jesus. Of course, the Jews don't have Jesus, but still, it all came from the same thing. So
it just seems like the people who want to argue for everything is determined, and you have no free will, it's because they almost severed that connection with the will.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it does seem chaotic
if you don't have
a connection with the will.
But the scientists, they go back and they talk about the laws of thermodynamics. But yet, one of the laws of thermodynamics come directly out of the Buddhist teachings, or the Hindu teachings. But Buddha made it more popular when he said action and reaction is opposite of equal. So I mean, they just took these teachings and put it in a different format. That's all.
And they claim it for themselves.
So with things like say numerology and astrology, they can make certain predictions or calculate certain outcomes. But as you as the soul, say a prediction was made, as you as a soul, could you say, no, I will not do this, and then change it, or it has to come to pass, or Or is that the soul telling you this is what will happen?
Well, any type of, especially numerology. I know about numerology. I can do numerology, but numerology gives you a snapshot of what could happen and what could happen and could not happen. It always gives you two sides. You as a numerologist have to look at the person if you want to give a prediction and determine what likely will happen.
The intuitive comes into play.
That's where the intuitive comes into play.
You have to analyze the person.
You have to analyze a person and a person's life. And then you, as the medium, tell them, I make this prediction. But you also say, well, this is not final. Because remember, every second your life is changing under the laws of karma. And it determines your will, what you want, how much good you want to do, how much bad you want to do, or you just want to stay in the middle. So it determines your answer. You mold and shape your life every second, every minute of the day. So even if somebody predict that, that something's going to happen to you at this particular time of your life, that doesn't have to come true. It all depends on you. Because if that person really has a sight to look and see, they'll tell you, oh no, it doesn't have to happen that way. But just based on your own action, I'm telling you that it's going to happen because you won't stop doing X, Y, Z. But yeah, and it's not nothing's totally predetermined to happen to you unless you make it that way. Unless you make it that way. So always, if you look at numerology, it always gives you positive and a negative outcome. Always. It always. Every number, every combination of numbers have positive and negative outcomes. So, and I'm sure astrology is really based on numerology, in my opinion. So I'm sure it have to come with the same thing. Because I think astrology and numerology is one and the same. They have to come the same way.
In Yogananda, in his book, his commentary on the Gita, he I remember there's a line where he says not to focus on like the lesser sciences of divination, astrology, and all that stuff, but to always stay focused on the holy science of yoga, and then you will become like the mastery. That's like the cards can't control you; you control the cards. So I think that's what he's saying is that's soul management that she doesn't talk about.
Yeah, and that's true. I believe that. Because some people can get caught up. I know back in the day, people was all into that. They would go and before they open the door, they'll pull a pendulum out, or they'll do the numbers for that day. And that's crazy. They'll wake up in the morning, the first thing they'll do is pull out and do their numbers or astrology for that day. What are you doing? I mean, I can see you doing it at the first of the year, and then you just walk away from it, But to do it every single day or every week, that's crazy.
Isn't that limiting yourself?
Yes, I think that is limiting.
Like you said, every second, everything's changing.
Yeah, it's changing. So it's crazy.
There's like they're structuring their life on what they're reading, not exactly what they could possibly be doing.
Their reading is affecting you directly.
Yeah. And instead of moving beyond it.
Even Dr. King said, don't do that. I mean, it's really crazy, but some people do that. But a yogi necessarily wouldn't do that. A real yogi, he or she would not go and do all that. He wouldn't determine their life like that. Any other questions? That's it, we can close out. We have a little prayer.